The story that Joao Cancelo is not signing for Bayern Munich. What's going on?
Essentially, Bayern had him on loan with an option to buy for about £60 million. It doesn't look like Bayern are going to be taking that option up. We've also had Barcelona manager this week talking about how they were offered Cancelo in January and then suddenly City said no. He kind of left out the bit where City said no because Barcelona wouldn't stump up the money for him, which is very Barcelona. Yeah, it's an issue for City, really. Player under contract till 2027. I'm not sure he gets back in at City just because of the way it all fell through the floor in January. But if they aren't going to use him, they've got to sell him. But it remains to be seen who will be willing to buy him and at what price, because Bayern certainly don't seem to be interested for 60 million.
Yeah, well, City have notoriously been clever with their transfers, haven't they? Manuel Kanji came in for less than 20 million and various other players have been brought in, and Cancelo's got a value of around 60 million. So if they can move him on and make some money on it, then all credit to them. But just moving on to other players, and again, this is a bit of transfer talk. Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan. There's a lot of talk coming up to the end of the season, and Bernardo Silva's been one that's notoriously been talked about leaving Manchester City. He's been unhappy, but then he's played absolutely excellent and he's one of Pep Guardiola's stars. What do you think the future holds beyond September for Bernardo and Gundogan?
That's the big question, isn't it? Midfield is going to be where City's summer is decided. Bernardo is in that same boat where he can leave if he wants to and if he gets a credible offer. PSG bid for him last year, but it was too late. Whether they will revive their interest, he certainly got a lot of admirers with the club's hierarchy. And then Gundogan's out of contract, so sort of the mood music maybe up to a few weeks ago was that he was probably leaving. I think there's a bit more hope in the City camp now. There's sort of been a bit of a revision to his terms, where it's kind of the potential for 2 years staying rather than just one. But it's kind of up in the air, and as much as it's good that City are honouring these, the wishes of these players not to sort of things before the end of the season, it does leave them in kind of a bit of limbo going into the summer and the start of the transfer market.
It's interesting with Gundogan because as Simon says, the inkling was that he was going to leave, but because his form is picked up so much, not that it's been bad the rest of the season, of course, but he's just gone on to another level. He has been a real leader for City, and he undoubtedly would be a loss either way. But you would think that if Pep lost him, it would be a leader lost in the dressing room, and then it becomes, how do you replace that, and who do you target? Because obviously Bellingham looks like he's going Madrid now. I think, Simon, you'll be able to give more detail on how much interest there was from City side and how far they were with that. But now Bellingham's out of the question, it's about who do you get and who. Obviously, City are massively appealing. And for me personally, I don't think these allegations hanging over them will actually affect whether players want to come or not at all, actually. It's beyond the player's control. So if Guardiola comes calling, you're very rarely going to say no. In fact, you never hardly say no. But yeah, it's about who do you get in. I mean, there's been links with Rice potentially, not to directly replace either Silva or Gundogan, but and other players as well in the Premier League. I don't know, Simon, what have you been hearing in regards to sort of any midfield potential arrivals?
Yeah, it's you kind of hit the nail on the head with Gundogan with his form picking up in the last few months. It's like anyone watching him at this point says, how on earth can you let him go? But at the same time, do you want to make your decision based on 2 months rather than what you were thinking over the whole year? And he is 32, I think. So, there is kind of City will need to watch out and will have their own view on kind of when they think his level will drop. Clearly, as of now, it's not dropping. So yeah, that is really interesting. And then Bellingham looks like he's going to Real. There certainly was interest from City, and that kind of could be revived again if, say, Real Madrid and Dortmund fail to sort of agree a fee. But it's not looking like Bellingham is coming, which like you say, leaves a hole. I think there's been some talk about Kovacic at Chelsea, and obviously Chelsea will be a really interesting club to look at in general, just because they're probably going to have a fire sale to meet all kinds of financial conditions. So Chelsea will be interesting to watch, and obviously Kovacic is potentially available, but City are still kind of waiting on answers from Gundogan and Bernardo, and they're not going to get those before the Champions League final, really.